What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so think about a little over a week ago I did a video talking about Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and I had a request from a couple people to talk about Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Now, this is the one game that out of the series that I know the most about, but then again, you got to forgive me because it's been over 20 years, or about 20 years actually now. About 20 years since I played the game, so I'm kind of rusty. I did a little bit of research, but still I'm kind of rusty in like remembering how the game went. But if this was like 20 years ago, oh yeah, I'd have gone in extreme detail about the game. Talk about it for probably hours. But you know, before this game, I knew that Grand Theft Auto was a very popular series. And just doing a little quick research, it was the fourth main installment of the series and sixth overall. And the first since 2001, when it was Grand Theft Auto 3. Let me see something. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 3. It was the sequel to Grand Theft Auto 3. And when this was released back in 2002, PlayStation 2, if I remember correctly, was pretty new. It was pretty new. I think it came out about that year. I think it came out that year, or late 2001. So the PlayStation 2 was a new feature, and Vice City got really, really high scores from critics on the Metacritic value. It got an average score of 94 out of 100, indicating universal acclaim based on 30 reviews. It was the highest rated Windows game on Metacritic in 2003. Reviewers liked the visual enhancements and were generally positive toward the control improvements. And within 24 hours of its release, Grand Theft Auto Vice City sold over 500,000 copies. Within 2 days of its release, Grand Theft Auto Vice City had sold 1.4 million copies, making it the fastest selling game in history at that time. It was the highest selling game of 2002 in the United States. By 2004, the game had sold nearly 6 million units. And by December 2007, when you could consider that the graphics, the game was maybe becoming a little bit obsolete, it still, by that time, had sold 8.2 million units. By July 2006, it had sold 7 million copies and earned $300 million in the United States alone. Next Generation ranked it as the highest selling game launched for the PS2, Xbox, or GameCube between January 2000 and July 2006 in that country. I guess it's the United States, beating out Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Now, of course, since then, San Andreas has blown out of water, but still, it was very successful. And worldwide, it had sold, by March 2008, 17.5 million units, making it one of the best-selling PlayStation 2 games. Now, I do remember that when it comes to the main protagonist, who's more of an anti-hero in the game, not your typical protagonist, is Tommy Vercetti. He was voiced by the late, great Ray Liotta. And you could just tell from the game, that was Ray Liotta voicing Tommy Vercetti. What I remember about the game was that I think Tommy Vercetti was just released out of prison. And he was a mobster. I don't think he was just an associate. If I remember correctly, he was made. He was a made man. He was a gangster, and I think. Ooh, I'm trying to really remember this game, man. I'm trying to remember. I know it was a lot of missions. You had a lot of missions you had to achieve before you can go further in the game. And I'm remembering something with a man. Like I said, I'm going off of 20 years of memory, like 20 years ago. So, but I remember something about an admiral or something on a ship. One of the earlier missions. And I think the guy double crosses you or something. Tommy Vercetti. I can't remember every detail anymore. But what I do remember is eventually Tommy Vercetti moves up the ladder of the criminal empire in Vice City. And Vice City is basically Miami. It's not Miami, but it's Miami. So like how San Andreas is basically like Los Angeles, but it just goes by a different name. I do remember the mansion, because I think Tommy Vercetti gets double crossed, or he learns that he's going to be double crossed, and he takes out. I remember the Diaz brothers. I do remember that. That was the mention. That was the mission where you take out the Diaz brothers and get their mansion. And then there's other subsequent mobsters throughout the game that you knock off and you build your empire and all of that. And I know that if I remember correctly, one of the allies that you make in the game initially is this black dude by the name of Lance Vance. And I can't remember who did his voice, but I want to say it was it Arsenio Hall that did Lance Vance's voice? Let me look that up. No, it wasn't Arsenio Hall. But it was, that's an interesting connection. It was Philip Michael Thomas, which is interesting because, of course, Philip Michael Thomas was on Miami Vice, and there was a great influence of Miami Vice in that video game. So there was somebody's voice I recognized. I thought it was Arsenio Hall for a second. But wasn't Arsenio Hall in that game, though? Or am I having false memories? Arsenio Hall voice Vice City. No, he's not in that video game. Let me look up something right quick. Voice actors, Vice City. Oh, okay. Now it's starting to come back to me a little bit more now. Now things are starting to come back to me. Ray Liotta was Tommy Vercetti. Burt Reynolds, Avery Carrington. Yeah. I definitely remember that character sounded like Burt Reynolds. And I said, that has to be Burt Reynolds. Jenna Jameson was Candy Sucks. If you don't know who Jenna Jameson is, just do a little research. Danny Dwyer, Kent Paul, don't know who that is. Dennis Hopper was Steve Scott. I do remember his voice. Lawrence Taylor was B.J. Smith. Feruza Balk, Mercedes Cortez. Yes, there's definitely a lot of Luis Guzman, who's a frequent character actor in movies, often plays villains. So yeah, there's a lot of people in this video game whose voices you will recognize just from listening to them. What else I want to say about this game? Lance Vance, I do remember he turns on you toward the end of the video game. He turns on you and shit. It's a very fun game to play. Now look, for its time, its graphics were really good. In today's 2023 technology, the graphics don't look too good. But for the times, the graphics were great. Some of these missions were very difficult, in my opinion. Very difficult. Like some of them were easier, but some of those missions, in particular, it was one mission where I think you were in a helicopter. You were in a helicopter and you had to shoot at. Excuse me. I think you had to shoot at. Jesus, man. It's been so long since I played that game. I can't remember. I can't picture everything. But I remember there was one mission that I could not get past for the life of me for like almost a month. And I remember I was in a helicopter and I had to shoot at. It was almost like a fleet of planes that had missiles. Or what the hell was it? That I can't remember anymore. Like I said, it's been so long since I played a video game, man. But I do remember that being one of the most fun games that I've ever played. And it's a game that, to me, almost never ends. Because even if you finish the missions, you can still do other shit on that game. You can still, other things that you can do while playing the game. You know what I mean? But I do remember the most fun thing about that game is that it's from the player's point of view. Tommy Vercetti's either walking or he's driving. And the radio, the music, when you're listening, is because the game is set in 1986. So the music that's playing while you're in the car listening to the radio is classic. Yeah, I think I remember Candy being one of the songs. You know what I'm saying? It's like candy, candy. I remember that one. Take your baby by the hand. Take your baby by the hand. And there's some other songs too, interwoven in there. Then I remember the club. Can't remember the name of the club, but I remember it was so fun to shoot that motherfucker up. And look, for anybody that's listening, this is not real life. You know what I'm saying? I don't advise people going out and doing dumb shit like that in real life, because in real life people die. But in a video game world, in a video game setting, it was kind of fun to do some of those things in a cartoon world where people don't really die. You know, when you reset the game, people come back. You can't reset lives in real life. But yeah, man, as far as fun is concerned, that game was great. And to be honest with you, if I had a PS2, I probably would play that game again. I probably would just play it, just because of how fun it is. You know? I remember the gameplay was very much improved compared to some of the other Grand Theft Autos. Now, like I said, I wasn't a big fan of some of the prior games, but I do recall the gameplay being better. And it was just so fun, man, you know? It was just fun. I'm a big fan of the mob genre anyway. So to have, you know, a guy like Ray Liotta who's so, his name is so synonymous with that genre, to voice the main character, man, it was just beautiful. But anyway, you know, it's kind of messed up, man, when you think about it. That you got Ray Liotta, Burt Reynolds, and Dennis Hopper all on those video games and all gone now, you know. But anyway, that's all I got to say about this, man. Tell me what you guys think, those of you who remember Vice City. Because like I said, there's a lot of things I'm forgetting about Vice City. Was there also a lawyer that was kind of based on... Because I think there's also influences Godfather, obviously, and I think there's a lawyer that's sort of based on Sean Penn's lawyer from Carlito's Way, if I'm not mistaken. Was his name Rosenberg or something? Like I said, it's been a while since I played the game, but now I'm starting to remember bits and pieces of it. But tell me what you guys think.